Happy Tuesday. We are in Luke chapter 19 looking at the parable of the talents, also sometimes referred to as the parable of the 10 minas. A mina is a unit of weight or of currency, some discrepancy about exactly how much it's worth. There were 50 shekels to a mina and 60 minas in a talent. And a talent is worth about $1,400. So you can do the math if you're interested. A couple things I want to point out today. First things first, this parable opens. A man of noble birth went to a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. This is Jesus. He's telling a parable about himself. He is a person of noble birth. He is God. He is going to a distant land. He has entered time and space, and he is going to be appointed king. And then he's going to return. So Jesus is talking about himself. Now, the people might not have figured out that he was talking about himself because it sounds like there's this allusion to Herod. So in 40 BC, Herod the Great had gone to Rome and had himself appointed king of the Jews and had returned and then had lived and led. So in 4 BC, so this is going to be just a little bit before the time of Christ is born. We think Christ is born probably about 3 BC. We don't think the date is perfectly lined up there, but Herod the Great's son, who was called Herod. So Herod named all his children, including his daughters, Herod. So you get all these different Herod and Herod the Tetrarch and Herod of, Herodias, and you got all these Herods. It's a mess when you're trying to keep them straight. But anyway, so this other Herod, not Herod the Great, 40 years later, just before Christ is born, this other Herod goes to Rome to have himself appointed king, but there was a group of people that followed him and they said, we don't want this guy to be king. And so Caesar did not make him king. He actually divided Herod the Great's kingdom into 4 parts and gave Herod the Tetrarch, tetra, 4, 1/4 of it. And so Herod the Tetrarch, when he came back, he got mad and he had everybody that lined up against him, about 3,000 people, he had them all killed. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. One of the things that we read here is that this man has himself appointed king. He went to a distant country to have himself appointed king and then to return. So he called 10 of his servants and gave them 10 minas, put this money to work, he said, until I come back. His subjects hated him and they sent a delegation after him. Sound familiar? We don't want this man to be our king. He was made king, however, and returned home. First thing I want to say, emphasize for today, Jesus will return. Jesus is going to return. That is something that we affirm. That is something that we often affirm when we give our communion response. Christ has died. Christ is risen. Christ will come again. This is a promise made throughout Scripture, and so it is repeated here if you have eyes to see it. Jesus is the one who has gone to a distant land to be appointed king. Have a good day.